Good morning, everyone. All right. And my voice is cracking because I haven't said a word in over an hour. As I'm coming up here on completing my initial Sept colors on my broadside, and some things I'm happy with, some things I'm not. I primered this guy here in very, very bad lighting conditions, trying to use a flashlight. So there were some areas that weren't well primered. Most of it was, but a lot of it was not, and it was in low light because I used this sucker. Because why not? It actually worked quite well everywhere that I managed to get it. Nice and smooth. It wasn't lumpy or anything. Despite the fact that I've had that can for about 2 years and just now gotten around to using it. So, you can see there. This is where we're at. There's lots of details that aren't covered. There's a lot of touch-up needs to be done, especially with the highlighting and the silver on the railgun. With the black, however, I don't have any black layer paint. I don't Chaos Black, I believe. I thought I did, but I do not. All I had was a whole bunch of Imperial Primer. So I'm going to go through quickly what I've done so far, what I plan to do, what I've learned, and what I still need to do, what I'm going to try differently in the future. So, as you'll notice, the plasma rifles aren't even painted. There's a couple places where there should be some gold. Where it is not. In the back, there's some details. And the gold is a little sloppy, and again, just needs something I can cover up that silver with. The primer does not do a good job of covering up. It just goes on too thin. It's going to take too many coats to cover that. So, no further ado, paint selection here. Imperial Primer, Stormhost Silver. After the initial primer, I mixed about 3 parts Imperial Primer, regular old brush paint, with a bit of Stormhost Silver. Mix it up real nice. Gives you a nice black with little silver flecks in it, which I don't know if you can tell too well in this lighting or not. You can kind of see, if I had some good flat black to look against, but it gives it just a little bit of texture, sort of. Just a tiny bit where the armor plates, you'll see sparkle. It's sparkle like big glittery sparkle, but just slightly, you can tell the light catches it and it adds texture, and it's not just flat, but it still gives us a nice black color. So I'm actually really happy with that. Washed with Nuln Oil very carefully. The Nuln Oil actually covers up too well. It'll drown out that texture entirely, so I had to go back and touch up with the mix after I did some of the shading. Very out of practice. I haven't painted practically in many years, so it was a little messy, but if you're going to do this, be very careful not to get your shade outside where you want it for the armor. You want to get those little cracks for the details, and that's it. And then for highlights, Lead Belcher actually did quite well. You'll see a bit. You can see, again, it's a little messy in places, but on that somewhat metallic black base, it gives you a nice edge highlight. I like it a lot. Again, I need to be more careful in the future. Gonna make mistakes happen, but I made a lot. Very smudgy. Need better brushes, lots of things. So, moving right along. Sept color here. Base Cantor Blue. Just happened to have it, bought it a long time ago. Planned on doing the whole army Cantor Blue. Changed my mind, wanted to go purple, but I found that base with a Cantor Blue and then layered with a little, I guess, Xeros purple. Somebody correct me. But layered with a little Xeros purple a couple times, and it gave us a nice purple color. I liked it. It's dark. It's kind of royal looking. I like the way that turned out. Highlighted there with this Techless blue. Again, the choice a little bit because I had that blue as well. I had the Cantor and the Techless already. And I like the way it turned out. And I'll show you the missile here actually turned out really well. You can just barely see just the slightest bit of the blue highlight. And it gives it an interesting look. Places where I got a little thicker, I had to go back and cover up. It looked kind of funky. So, it needs to be very light edging, but it works light blue on the royal purple. And I did enjoy that quite a bit. Moving on, standard gold. Don't have the wash, but Retributor base and Arc Armor Gold layer. Did alright. Mine's pretty messy. It does need to be washed because it's super shiny in all the wrong places. But I will get around to that. But overall, just the standard Games Workshop recommended gold base and layer for the gold pieces there. Next, I tried Lord Duncan's Nekron compound dry brushing I saw in one of his videos, and I got really overzealous with the dry brushing, I think. It ended up looking more like the model was supposed to be silver with like broken paint coming through, and I'm not sure I like that. I might try the technique again just to see if I get better at it, but it might be too much. I did wash all of these mechanical parts, is what I did with the just on top of the black primer, the Nekron compound. I might try it again. I might try to go for something else, something that looks a little more like a steel, like a dark metal color. But I did wash the whole thing in Null Oil to try and darken it a bit, and it helped. But it's probably not where I'm going to end up with that. And then moving on, just a little bit of ceramite white and a couple layers. Not very good at the freehanding, and I will blame my brushes a little bit. I have old brushes that have not been well maintained. It's my fault and all, but tried to do these little dot patterns. I kind of wanted to spice it up a little. Put a square on there, not sure why. And little rank markings. Probably need a little bit more on the white, not a whole lot. I don't want it to be prominent. But I do want it to be noticeable on the black and the deep purple. That white is very noticeable. As for the weapon, this is going to fall over when I take the railgun off because it's a little back heavy. But all right. So for the weapon, I should have probably based it with the Nekron or the lead belcher, but I did not. Went straight to Stormhost Silver and layered it on, and this is about 3 layers worth. Still needs to be washed. Might be too silver. I might want something that looks a little more, again, steel. Right? I'm not trying to go for sparkly here. The gold's about as sparkly as I want to get on anything, and I want that to be a little dulled down too. So, if anyone has any good suggestions for something that looks like more steel than silver, open to it. I might go try to find some tutorials. No, there's lots of good stuff out there already. Yeah, that's where I'm at with the paint. Probably about 80% done with the paint on this model. Gonna do the plasma rifles similarly to how I did this. I want it to be metallic with some flat black. Although I do need to get probably, I think it's Chaos Black to touch up. I'm just going to go over where that I primered it, and yeah. Overall, it's been fun. It's been a good learning experience, being essentially a complete noob again at everything, and obsessing over different color schemes for weeks, and then days too long to build this model because I wanted to do a whole bunch of custom stuff, which I will show off because it turned out really cool. Particularly, you have these arms. This one doesn't have a hand because the hand is inside of the gun, if you will, for the heavy rail rifle. But the Broadside doesn't come with decent arms. It just doesn't. It either has the missile gloves or very lopsided arms for the heavy rail rifle. And I wanted it to have more functional arms. So the shoulders here are from the missile gloves. Just cut the shoulders right off. And then for the forearms, I actually have kit bashed some pieces from some Crisis sprue I had not used yet. And so what it is, it's the thigh armor off of the Crisis kit, and then the pieces of the arm from the Crisis kit. So here I'd actually cut up forearms to extend the upper arm. You'll see here that piece. I would not do that again, considering I did that before I did the forearms. With the forearms, you cut off the forearms, and I'll do a whole tutorial on this, but in a nutshell, you cut off the forearms from the Crisis. You shave them down a little bit. You shave down the inside of the thigh armor, and they fit together rather nicely. So you get this normal Crisis forearm hand inside the thing. There's a magnet on there because I magnetize the heavy rail rifle, even though I'm not switching out the weapons. It's just easier for painting and posing and stuff for now. So, and I'm all over the place this morning. Sorry, guys. So I cut off the forearms from the joint, and I put them inside of here, and then I didn't this time, but in the future, use the upper arm from the Crisis and cut that down a bit and attach it to the upper arm shoulder piece from the Broadside kit to make the upper arm a little bit longer, more proportional. Gives you a lot more range of motion and posing. I'm really happy with how those turned out. They are a little rough. It was together and apart several times. Used the elbow round from the forearm, cut that out, put it into the middle of the joint part, the knee joint part from the thigh armor. So it made rather nice elbows, and I put the little piece of kneecap armor on the back, although I didn't really paint that up. And I should have done more with the paint there, but yeah, I'm finding all these little details I haven't done. And yeah, these are in two pieces still yet too, so I can just have it. Yeah, overall, happy with the arms. Took a little bit of green stuff, a lot of hobby knife work, and I definitely need to buy some sandpaper. But then for this hand, I used an extra hand I had off a Cold Star kit because it fits right in size and shape-wise with the Crisis forearms. So I got these nice big posable Broadside arms. They look a little beefy. They look armored. Oops. And yeah, I'm happy with those. So I'll do a tutorial on those shortly and show you guys how to do that, along with, as you probably caught looking at earlier, the rifle. I turned into more of a rifle looking weapon than what we had originally. Almost everything on here is just bits that were meant for the heavy rail rifle. Like I cut the bottom off, flipped it over. This was actually the bottom of the original kit. Now the bottom is what was the top. There's actually a little piece of sprue there I did for hand grip, and then that big piece that comes on the bottom there, cut off and made into a stock, and it actually turned out pretty well. So overall, very happy with the modifications. Need lots of practice on the paint. Next Broadside, gonna do the same thing with the arms, but I'm going to put the plasma rifles on the arms. I'll, typical Crisis layout, and I'm going to try to do a single shoulder turret, and I'm not entirely certain. I have some DS turrets I'm not using, some other round-like pieces. I have some extra Crisis torsos now because I used the forearms. And, we all have Crisis. We're not using all of a sudden an 8th, I'm sure, unless you're really going for that far sight bomb. So I might try some of the torso pieces, the nice little round thing there, to try to do some sort of turret for this heavy rail rifle. So that's me droning on for the morning. Hope you all had some fun with this. I will try to script out future videos a little better so I'm not rambling. As you can see, tiny workstation, it's a total mess. Pieces everywhere, half-finished things, sprues. It's fun. I need some organization things. I definitely need to buy some of those. But this is where I'm at, and having fun, and that's the important part. So, have a good day, y'all. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, follow the page, Facebook, Twitter, all that kind of good stuff. See some more when I get some more. Peace.